Typically, there have been a separate focus between solar and BESS projects, but there have been a lot of changes recently with legislation and other reasons like that, where it's really creating these market conditions for these efforts to come together and really just create an incredible opportunity to synergize. So data centers aren't just IT assets anymore. Their energy footprint has become a core operational constraint. So as computing demand skyrockets and the choke point isn't just land or permitting now, it's actually going to be power itself. And that's why co-locating is such a smart way to capture the value and avoid those bottlenecks. Right. So what do we mean by a triple threat? So like I said, solar, BESS, and data centers all have value on their own, but the real magic happens when you bring them together. Solar gives you clean generation, storage adds flexibility and resilience, and the data centers create a steady and reliable demand for power. Combine this, and it eases pressure on the grid and avoids transmission bottlenecks and secures stable energy cost over time. So really, this goes beyond cost optimization. Integrated systems add resilience. Even if the grid were to fail or demand surges, your site would be able to island temporarily with this triple threat model. And this is especially valuable in climates with fires or storms or just severe grid stress. And historically, alternative power sources have always been a consideration for data center developers. Traditionally, it's more been proximity to gas pipelines and things like that. But now that we are able to create our own renewable energy on the premises, typically behind the meter, it just really expands the land that we're able to consider for building these data centers and having that alternative power. So of course, this does go beyond cost optimization, but cost optimization is a huge incentive here. If you're a BESS developer, this is probably going to sound pretty familiar to you, but from a modeling standpoint, you are building cash flow that captures both generation and revenue, and it avoids cost, of course. So normally you would be paying for grid power. And in this situation, in some unique cases, you're actually able to sell power or inject power back onto the grid. So this is just a screenshot of one of our available transfer capacity analyses. And like I said, typically you're going to be behind the meter powering that data center directly. But in some unique cases, you're going to have offtake capacity and available transfer capacity on the grid. It is an inverse correlation. It's an inverse relationship typically. The grid's typically not going to have enough power to build a data center comfortably and have enough bandwidth to inject back on. But LandGate is actually able to help you identify these unicorn parcels, if you will. And that's what we found here. So just as a quick example, and we are going to jump into a live demo, so we're actually going to run through this. But let's say that you have a 50 megawatt data hall, and you pair it with a 40 megawatt solar field and a 100 megawatt hour battery. Over time, your daytime solar is going to meet the base loads, your battery is going to cover the evening hours, and you occasionally will be able to sell back or export that excess power onto the grid. The outcome here is lower average energy cost, no need for major grid upgrades, and a faster payback than relying solely on PPA or just grid energy supply. So how do you identify these optimal parcels? So to win in this space, what you need is foresight. Success comes from spotting the solar potential, grid capacity, and data center growth interest. Of course, you're going to need things like a large breadth of high quality data for things like fiber line location, understanding where substations and transmission lines are. And of course, we have available transfer capacity and offtake capacity. And then with the BESS edition, having that LMP data is going to really help you understand where your megawatt hours are earning the most. So with all of that information, it's great, but really to look around the corner, you're going to need information like understanding where queued projects are going to be, interconnection upgrades, land acquisitions that are happening. So teams with all of that information are the ones who are going to have an edge, and they're going to be able to be ahead of the curve before land prices spike. And this is where LandGate steps in. So we have things like ownership, parcel data, queued projects, everything I just talked about in the last slide. And we've built it to connect the dots, essentially just helping you and your team have all of the information you could possibly need to leverage that and move quickly and get to that land before prices spike. So in short, the convergence is rich with upside, but to capitalize on these market changes, you're going to need speed and foresight, and that's where our data can help give you the edge.